You're about to watch Top 20 Scariest TV Moments of All Time. Before jumping into the video, don't forget to click the bell button and subscribe to the channel for more amazing and exciting videos. Today we'll be taking a look at 20 of the most horrifying scenes in television history. Brace yourself for the scary ride, but beware of the spoilers. Let's get started. 20. American Horror Story, Asylum, Unholy Night. Santa Claus is a terrific character. A guy with a beard that covers his face breaks into your home, rides a flying reindeer, and hits every house in the world in the course of one night. Now you're going to get Ian McShane, who can't do anything wrong, to play Santa's sociopathic version, and it's a creepy festive treat. 19. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Gentleman. Some of the most dapper monsters we've ever seen may be the gentlemen. The gentlemen drift rather than walk, clad smartly in suits, have rather prim, proper attitudes, and their hideous expressions frozen in a frightening grin. The fact that they steal everybody's voices in Sunnydale just leads to the horror factor. 18. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Badabat. The Demon of Sleep spent an episode roaming the house of Spellman after Sabrina unintentionally released it, and tormented every member of the family in their dreams. Via a series of creepy dream scenes, we see Zelda's anxiety that she's fatally killed her sister Hilda, and Sabrina's anxiety about losing her boyfriend Harvey if he discovers that she's a witch. But the spookiest dream comes with the help of Ambrose, who in a slasher-style nightmare struggles with being stuck in the bed. This is all right at the top of the real devil, hideously terrifying. 17. The X-Files, The Eyes of Victor Toombs. Perhaps the most powerful monster of the week in the X-Files' long, strange past, Victor Toombs made his debut in the Squeeze episode of Season 1, revealing a hideous, Stretch Armstrong-like flexible body that he used for the force of perverted evil, unlike Mr. Fantastic. At the sight of Toombs' eyes burning bright yellow, a whole generation of impressionable young minds were irreversibly messed up, a picture those older minds still subconsciously search for every time they glance through the cracks of a running escalator. 16. Twin Peaks: The Return. What year is this? There were a lot of frightening moments to go around as we returned to the land of Twin Peaks, but nothing compared to the actual horror of the last moment of the season. Agent Cooper, the sorcerer who yearned to see, went too far at last. He did not concern himself with solving the mystery of the murder of Laura Palmer, he went and prevented it from ever happening. As a consequence, Cooper and the viewers ended up in a parallel universe of some kind where absolutely nothing felt right. Right after a baffled Cooper questions what year it is outside what should have been the Palmer house, Laura's double lets out an almighty shriek in this alternate universe. On any level on which it is possible to be afraid, it scared us. 15. The Walking Dead: Welcome to the Tombs. The governor kills his own people. In its long run, The Walking Dead has witnessed unimaginable violence, both human on human and human on zombie violence. But by season 3, there were still mainly humans versus zombie battles. The governor killing his own soldiers, for no reason other than they wouldn't shut up, was indeed a wake-up call. It revealed that the planet was further away from civilization than anyone had ever imagined. It's a harsh realization that's more disturbing than any zombie attack. 14. Whistle and I'll Come to You: The Ending. The Mr. James Ghost series was once a fixture in the BBC Christmas schedule. In this one, Michael Hordon plays a scholar who comes across a bone whistle on a desolate English beach. Haunted by the visions of a dark prospect, the professor wakes to see the sheets of the bed next to him rise up in an unearthly form. Despite the simple quality of the effects, the final moments of Jonathan Miller's monochrome classic are more disturbing than other movies that have 100 times its budget. 13. Doctor Who: Blink Brings Us the Weeping Angels. Stephen Moffat was Doctor Who's extraordinary scaremonger even before he took over as showrunner, and his best ever contribution to the show was this Dr. Light 2007 episode, which brought the Weeping Angels into the monster lexicon of the show. It's a beautifully simple idea: monsters that move just when you don't look at them. This is one of the most frightening moments from Doctor Who's scariest episode. Dare you to look away. 12. Ghost Watch: The Possession of Suzanne. One of the most unforgettable horror dramas ever made was shown on Halloween night in 1992. Michael Parkinson's fake reality show grabbed newspaper headlines the next day, and many viewers were hoodwinked by this alleged hoax TV. The mockumentary explores a supposedly haunted house in Northolt, Greater London, with Sarah Greene and Craig Charles playing themselves, and the point that gives us the most scares is when the daughter of the family, Suzanne, finds herself possessed by the ghost called Pipes. Genuinely horrific. 11. American Crime Story: The Assassination of Gianni Versace, Easy Lover. The American crime story focused on the gruesome murder of Versace, a fashion symbol, but ultimately concentrated more on Andrew Cunanan, his murderer. The most troubling flashback of the show saw Cunanan, then a male prostitute, cover his client's face with duct tape, including his nose, eyes, and mouth, before dancing to Phil Collins' Easy Lover in a pair of pink pants. As the poor man gasped for air, the viewers may have felt out of breath too. The intensity of the scene is much more disturbing than anything else in Murphy's own American Horror Story. 10. Threads, The Mushroom Cloud over Sheffield. This unforgettable BBC drama perfectly depicted the aftermath of a nuclear war. Burned corpses, dead kids, hysteria in the streets, people eating sheep and rats, famine, devastation, and stillborn babies. But the one that really stays in the mind, which set off the cold sweat to end all cold sweats, was the view of the massive mushroom cloud that emerges on the horizon, marking the start of the end. Never did the apocalypse feel so close or so real. 9. Game of Thrones, Shireen at the stake. Very few people were pure and genuinely nice on Game of Thrones. One of them was Shireen Baratheon, Stannis' daughter. It was devastating to see when the Lord of Dragonstone followed the advice of Melisandre and gave his one heir to the gods. No, we never saw Shireen go up in flames, but the moments of her making desperate appeal to her parents, which soon turned to horrifying shouts of distress, and the response of the soldiers of Stannis watching her die, were terrifying enough to shake us to the core. 8. It, Pennywise in the Sewer. Nobody can deny Tim Curry's sheer screen charm and magnetic drive in the original It miniseries. Even today, the opening sewer scene involving Pennywise and Georgie is profoundly horrifying, largely due to Curry's frightening performance. It ensures that there are no obsolete special effects to pull down the scene, just good old-fashioned acting ability. This scene has traumatized an entire generation, and it will probably continue to do so even though the movies are more recent. The next time you pass a sewer grid, just remember, all of them are floating down there. 7. American Horror Story, Freak Show, The Picnic Scene. As disturbing as Asylum was, it still didn't have Twisty the Clown from Freak Show. And Twisty the Clown may well have been the scariest villain in the history of American Horror Story. He was presented in harsh and excruciating fashion when he crashed a nice picnic. The scene is straight out of a nightmare, filled with a hideous, disgusting creature infringing in an idyllic space. The acts of Twisty are disgusting, of course, but his grotesque physical design adds another element that lifts him above other creepy killer clowns. This is the damn mask. Then again, as we discover later, what's behind the mask is actually even more frightening. 6. Game of Thrones, Hard Home, The White Attack. Season 5's Hard Home is all about the titular village, as Jon heads there to meet the Lord of Bones and persuade the wildlings to his cause. But before they could even escape, the village is racked by thousands of growling and screaming whites. The tragedy of Hardhome is one of the most entertaining and definitely the most terrifying scenes of the series, complete with many terrible images that will be stuck in your mind for a long time. 5. Melrose Place, The Bitch is Back. The episode revealed that Kimberly Shaw had a huge rancid scar on her face, and almost all of America slightly threw up in their mouths. The week before, when she returned to Melrose Place after supposedly getting killed in a nasty car accident, we had already gotten freaked the hell out of us, but this was too much. Her lovely long red hair may have remained the same after spending months in a coma, but not her attitude. She was creepier, and appeared to be, as my Hungarian gypsy grandma would have said, touched by the witches. 4. Chernobyl, The Disaster Scene. The first episode is mostly about the catastrophe itself, and the second is about the initial cleanup job. This entails the removal of water from the basement to stop a disastrous explosion of steam. Ananenko Bezpalov and Baranov volunteers had to go in. They wandered through the knee-high toxic water and tried to find their way through the basement maze in the dark. The sound design is genuinely intense in this scene, together with the panicked breathing of the actors and the screaming Geiger counter. Never mind the radiation, it's a wonder they didn't drop dead of fear. 3. The Walking Dead, Glenn's Fate. Glenn was probably the most lovable character in The Walking Dead, so seeing him die was traumatic enough. But the way he died is what makes the scene so terrible. Glenn's head bashing appeared out of nowhere, and although The Walking Dead never steered away from gore, the outcome is possibly the most terrible and embarrassing shot the show has ever made. 2. Supernatural, Bloody Mary. The legend of Bloody Mary is one of the most famous in the world. For Supernatural, the legend was very well adapted, featuring Sam and Deed bleeding out of their eyes and a crying woman stumbling on all fours, Ring style, out from a mirror. not to include the eerie walk of the zombie that the woman does through the broken glass. This is supernatural at its finest. 1. American Gothic. Meet the Beatles. Gail, Paige Turco, runs off to search for Buck and Beatles, going down to the local Natural History Museum flensing room. On top of an exam table, she hears a fuss going on inside a big casket-type box and unlocks it. Surprise! This is the loathsome Lieutenant Dre, Bruce Campbell, held captive by flesh-eating beetles and slowly being eaten alive. Which TV scene scared you the most? Tell us in the comments. We hope you liked the video, and thanks for watching.